What's poppin' people, it's your boy Zero, aka Black, Noski, Subaru, and today we are here with the recording for ReZero Arc 9 Chapter 50, Decisive Battle on the Ice. Now, I actually had to redo this because I didn't do the proper audio checks, and when I finished, I realized that the background music audio was way louder than I was, and yeah. Suffice to say, it was cooked. So I'm redoing it. I actually didn't read through all of it, luckily, because I had to kind of do it in a two-parter. So I actually only got the first, probably like half. Now, not gonna deliberate. I do want to let you guys know that my reaction to the ReZero season 4 trailer that came out recently, where I was like going on for like almost 30 minutes about the cave scene, that shit was absolutely fucking crazy. You guys have to understand, part of why I was freaking the fuck out is because quite literally it did not sink in to my tiny little smooth, unwrinkled, fucking pathetic brain that everything that I read was more or less going to be animated for me to see it visually with sound effects. Like, and I was like, oh God. And like, the more I thought about it, the worse it got. I was like, oh my God. The cave scene, fuck, in the trailer. And then I was like, wait a minute, the cave scene, they showed that in the trailer? Then I'm like, wait a minute, the cave scene, oh my God, I'm gonna have to watch it. And then it just got worse. But anyway, we're not gonna talk about the cave scene. We're already at 2 minutes. Anyway, look, we know how this goes. I'm bricked up, you're bricked up. Let's be bricked up together and read some fucking ReZero. Come on now, let's get it to it. And look, we have some sponsors today. Thank you. Oh, hold on. Whoa. Thanks our sponsors, Rem. Rem's our sponsor. Yeah, she's the one who gets me bricked up enough to come into these videos. You know, with the right intention, of course. With the right intention, of course. Oh, wait a minute. Pause. Hold up. All right, there we go. And we got our music on. All right, so as I have read at least like half of this, I'm gonna go a little bit faster than normal, but hey, we're still vibing. Great art, by the way. Shout out to the artist who made this. Like, this looks really dope. I really like the cutesy art style. Really like how Amelia looks, honestly. Like, even though I honestly like I don't care like that much for Amelia's overall design. I'm not gonna lie, this may be controversial. I don't think her design is like crazy good, but I say like rated scale like 1 to 10, and this isn't her cute, it's just overall design. I'd say it's like a 7.5. And honestly, like, I'd rate Rem at about like 7.5 as far as like her appearance. I just like for the main heroine, ReZero has made some really interesting looking characters. Their designs overall, they're fine for me. They're very iconic, obviously. And like you know, this is me talking about like peak designs, right? Like, I'm not talking about like, oh, hey, how good does your top 4 waifus look in this random anime series? Oh, no. Like, this is on the scale of peak, by the way. Like it's already considered peak. I'm just saying, in the level of peak. You know what? I'll give you this. One of my favorite designs in all of ReZero for a female character is Beatrice. Beatrice's design. Hold on. And it's not because she's a lolly. This design? Oh shit, like I'm blocking it. Hold on. Damn it, now you're locking me out. Okay, hold on. Let me. Oh shit, go back. No, I don't want people to get spoiled. Let me see. Like, dude, this design this goes crazy. This goes absolutely fucking bonkers. Like, this is what I mean, like, as far as for me, like, this is like a 9 out of 10. This is a 9 out of 10 design. Like, I love like the color coordination. Hold on, let me get my shit back. I love like the colors, red and white with like the purple accents and like the pink accents. Her blonde hair, blue eyes, like, and the pink, dude, and then her little crown. Come on now, bro, dude. If like we're gonna do like a character design tier list at some point, dude. Her design, nah. Butterfly irises, dude. Super round face, fat ass fucking forehead, tendril. Like, dude, her design is literally peak. Like, I'd say like she's like, she might be like a top 10 ReZero design. But I digress. That's not what we're talking about right now. We are reading 6 minutes and I haven't even read anything. All right. Anyway, so look, we're all bricked up. Let's keep this going. The hexacolor radiance that had pierced heaven and earth gradually unraveled and faded away. The sky that had faded to a dull gray slowly regained its natural color. And before long, as if having recalled why it was called blue, the azure sky began to clear. With such scenery before him, Roswell saw tears falling from the eyes of Ezo beside him. Whether they were of joy or vexation, hold on, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. It was clear that he had been overcome with emotion. Although it had taken two people to perform, Roswell and Ezo had nevertheless accomplished a great feat engraved for the first time in the history of magic. The utmost extremity of magic control allocated into groupings of 4 and 2 colors. Perfect formulation of a technique that did not permit any gaps whatsoever. And the ultimate harmony that could not have been manifested were there to have been a lag of even an instant that had surmounted the divine dragon's dragon hollow. Roswell's diligent studies and Ezo's research, if either were to have been missing, this hypermagic would have never been realized. However, one day I'll even manage to manifest this technique by myself. Even as Ezo bombasted while shedding ceaseless tears, Roswell smiled at his demeanor. Neither was it out of exasperation, nor was it in sarcasm. Indeed, that was the very essence of a magician. I think of magicians as like scientists, low-key, in this verse. Like, they're all in it for like the love of the craft and trying to like find out like what they can do with new shit, right? Visualizing was important in magic. If it could be visualized, then anything could be accomplished. That was magic. Isn't that right, teacher? As Roswell muttered those words, his body began to tip over and was about to collapse onto the ground. Ezo immediately reached out to try to support him, but alas, given how immensely exhausted he was, he collapsed first. Then, as the falling Roswell seemed like he was about to crush Ezo under him, "Made it in time. Good news." At a precarious juncture, that calm voice and those strong arms successfully saved Roswell from falling down, and Ezo from being squashed. Glancing at Klein as he was supported by him, Roswell let out a breath. Having soared through the skies during the battle, it was the versatile steward who had gone so far as to shatter a star before returning to them. At some point, he had put his monocle back on and retracted his black horns. However, it appeared as though he had not managed to entirely restore his perfect, everyday appearance, and thus was a rather unusual form with disheveled clothing. Even so, outside of your butler uniform, you are mostly unharmed. Dragonkin truly are overpowered. Master, if I must be so bold as to correct you, it is not because I am a Dragonkin, but because I, as the Dragonkin of the Divine Dragon, am simply special. assertion. So you really are quite proud after all? It was your receptacle's fault that we've ended up like this, you know? Don't point at me when saying that. It is merely that I cannot stand up because of my back. No, because my entire body has gone limp. I actually fucking laughed out loud when I first read this. Again, I didn't read this full chapter. The first recording was fucked up. So I'm rereading like a lot of it. But like, dude, just like the sight of like Ezo just being face down, ass up, and just knowing that Roswaal was pointing at him is fucking hilarious. Having fallen face first, Ezo was unable to stand up, and yet did not admit defeat. As if to express sentiments of lament, Klein shrugged his shoulders at that demeanor. But truly, it was a wonderful quality. You've changed. You used to be more of a transcendent detached type. In that case, I could say the exact same words to you. Return. Were you not the one who was supposed to be clever and underhanded, content to remain a mere mediocre magician? Confirmation. Klein narrowed his eyes across his monocle, having perfectly guessed Roswaal's thinking. Certainly, he had intended on that, and yet Roswaal had not done so. Getting back up after having failed, he had enacted a recklessness he never imagined he ever would. But that was... It's simply that I realized something. That all these days, I hadn't been walking alone after all. That shit got me choked up. That shit got me a little choked up. Roswaal being fucking gay and squishy. I love to see it. I love to see it. Sorry you guys aren't getting like the initial raw reaction of like the first half. So sorry, but like I am still telling you what I commented on during that. And like I didn't cry at any point up until where I stopped. At Roswaal's answer, Klein fell silent. For some reason, Ezo did too. Though perhaps that reason is a bit too obvious. While only natural for Klein, with whom he had been acquainted a long time, when hypermagic had been invoked a moment ago, his consciousness had been on the verge of blending together with Ezo's. There, Roswaal had failed to fully conceal his own sentiments and prayers after all. Speaking of that, I am quite accustomed to phenomena such as intermingling of the consciousness. But how did you manage to remain fine, Ezo-kun? Normally, you would end up going insane. Don't speak of such frightening matters so casually. Likely, it is a boon of the books of the dead. The books of the dead? Of the Pleiades Watchtower? Indeed. While I was on standby at the Watchtower, I read over a dozen volumes of the books of the dead. But in order to do so, I had to learn the necessary technique of closing off my heart. I see. This is a magician. Understand it. He somewhat felt like Klein had settled on a bit of a rude conclusion, but he would not touch upon it here. After all, Roswaal did not think Ezo had done anything particularly strange. Regardless, that which they ought to prioritize right now. Master, we have certainly fulfilled the duty with which we have been entrusted. Completion. However, I am aware. As Klein left his words half finished, Roswaal silently breathed out and looked into the distance, the same direction as both Klein and the grounded Ezo. He cast his gaze beyond that horizon. During the battle against the Divine Dragon, the rocky wasteland that had been completely terraformed from before, further beyond even that, the final destination of the Aldebaran troop. The Grand Mogulate Geyser. Flashing through Roswaal's mind as he muttered was the final offensive of magic and dragon that it sundered heaven and earth. As the Divine Dragon had sent the Dragonkin up to rise and intercept the star crashing down from the heavens, placed on the scales were two options. That of eliminating the two magicians who were weaving hypermagic and that of fulfilling its own role. It would assuredly win. Such arrogance did not even slightly exist within the divine dragon at that moment. Hence, the dragon followed the conviction of the personality dwelling within its dragon husk and selected one of the two options. Through its unleashed breath, it fired at an enormous opening in land far removed from the battlefield, and was unclear why the Aldebaran troop was headed toward that location. But there was no chance that the divine dragon's deeds was unconnected to the troop's objective, and even knowing that it would be defeated if it did so, the divine dragon prioritized firing its breath at that opening. The meaning brought about by that action would surely be verified from this point on forward. I low-key think that it has something to do with the Al in the moment where they were doing that fight needed to get out and was like, hey, I'm updating the Matrix. Oh wait, but he can't update the book with Volcanica though. Like he can't like update Volcanica through the book because he's fighting somewhere else. So like that actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, so like the fact that he would have charged the attack and done the attack in a different direction would definitely mean that there was like some pre-plan. All right, let's make sure I don't have anything crazy going on. And checking the time. All right. I think we're at like good pace right here. Yeah. All that remained is whether or not those you have cultivated will be able to surpass the opponent. Subaru-kun. That shit, bro. That shit, banger. Dude, if y'all don't want to say at this point that Subaru has been aura farming, bro, I feel like Subaru, although not as overly hyped as some of the popular aura farming moments in modern media, I would say Subaru's aura farming hits different because this motherfucker has the aura of someone who cannot physically beat most people, 90% of people, but he will still win. I didn't say against those people, but he'll win. Like literally, Subaru is the nah, I'd win in every situation. Like I mean, I'm not gonna say against all of fiction. I'm not saying that. But like, damn it, bro. Like, dude. Anyway, irregular. Rem recognized that this was the role expected of her, and the duty she ought to fulfill. By utilizing the extraordinary authority of turning back time, Al had surmounted every single obstacle that stood in his way. In order to stop him, what was necessary were irregulars. Indeed, that helmet bastard's authority is a fearsome thing. Frankly, even in all my years, I've rarely come across such an utterly irrational power. But no matter how powerful the ability, the one who's gotta wield it ain't nothing more than a human. Hit that helmet bastard with countless things that he'd never expect and keep on going. I'm to use his authority. Yeah. The time he can't turn back only goes so far. Overwhelm him, and overwhelm him till you take him down. If you whittle away his remaining strength, even the helmet bastard will make an irreparable slip-up. That'll be how you snatch victory against that helmet bastard. Those were some words of advice from Ramji, who had once nearly driven Al into a corner. In response to Ramji's suggestion, those who were well versed in tactics, Ram, Roswell, and Klein, did not object. Therefore, Rem had full faith in that advice. What they needed to do was bombard Al with enough unexpected situations until he broke. And if a contest of endurance was required, then Rem was not someone to be underestimated either. After all, I've gotten to watch that person up close. If one were to ask what Rem's best shot at seizing victory was, it would have been that. Perhaps it was fortunate that Rem had been forgotten by everyone until very recently. During that interval bereft of memories, the interactions she'd had with Al in the Empire could hardly be described as extensive. And if she was going to delve into her points of contact with him before that, in regards to the royal selection, it was even less so. But that was precisely the reason why Rem's actions had the potential to betray his expectations. However, yeah! Sorry, my voice cracked the first time, and it definitely cracked during this one too. Roaring, Rem swung her arm out with her full strength, and following closely behind, the unleashed iron ball ferociously streaked through the air. The spiked iron ball spun around as it aimed directly for its target, the red-haired shinobi, Yae Tenzin. With the stage set as the 5,000-meter tall Agzad Canyon, the battle raged as they plummeted through the air, transitioning to the next phase with this prodigious shinobi as the opponent. A discus of ice had been created in the air, serving as a platform for their contest of strength. This was the result of Rem and Amelia working together to impose an irregular situation, but the very fact that they had been forced into such a scenario was frustrating. It wasn't just Al's group that encountered an irregular, they had as well. With a roar, a sharp, heavy strike cut through the wind. The menace of that spiked iron mass, no matter how sharp the opposing blade, was not something that could be repelled even by something like bundling fine thread together. It surged forth in one swift motion toward the irregular. Yae. Letting out a small noise at the approaching threat, Yae abandoned any attempts at interception and evaded with a cartwheel, passing right by her side as she rolled across the ice disc. The iron ball flew through the air in futility. Ayah! A sharp, almost carefree shout met the iron ball with a resounding bang. It was the pleasant sound of Amelia standing on the other side of Yae, kicking the iron ball hurtling toward her with her feet clad in boots of ice. Amelia's long, slender legs swiveled, and the iron ball was forcibly bounced back, chasing after Yae's slender figure as she fled with a cartwheel. Just like that, the iron ball mercilessly sunk into its fangs into Yae's side. Not gonna happen. Immediately after saying that, Yae pressed her hands against the ice disc while performing her cartwheel and peeling up its surface using her steel threads to cover herself. It became a shield that intercepted the iron ball hurtling toward her body. Of course, it was too thin a shield to completely stop a single blow. It would crack in half a second, snap after another quarter, and the spikes would pierce the other side after another eighth. So when exactly 1 second had passed, it would have fully broken through. But that single second was more than enough for the agile shinobi to make her next move. No way! And it was Amelia who let out a cry of surprise. However, Rem was of the same frame of mind. In their line of sight, after having evaded the pursuit with an impromptu ice shield, Yae set her bare foot on the fully extended chain of the Morning Star with a light leap, dashing across it in one fluid motion. Amelia was stunned by the acrobatics and balance, while Rem was equally amazed by the footwork over the chains that conveyed no sense of weight whatsoever, and yet the surprises kept coming. Together, with a swing of Ye's arms, blades of ice and stone rained down one after another from above, targeting the two of them. These are... 20 seconds prior, Amelia and Al had forged these ornaments of stone or ice and stone in the air during their battle. Leaving them suspended there, Ye had shot her steel threads up towards the heavens to bring them down, repurposing them as a perilous rain. It's because I didn't clean up properly. Failing to clean up properly goes for Al-san as well. Let's just say that we both share the hardship of having masters who are bad at cleaning up after themselves, alright? One sec, water break. Alright. We're back. Reflection, follow-up, and provocation all piled up, leaving Rem and Amelia scrambling to deal with the falling daggers. Amelia fended them off with her twin ice blades, but Rem was in trouble. Her right hand was occupied by the Morning Star, which was currently being used as Ye's foothold, so she could not carelessly withdraw it. She had no choice but to defend her with her unarmed left hand alone. Won't make it in time. It happened the moment she had resolved herself to tank the bombardment. Someone gave a push to Rem's shoulders, and that same someone was impaled through the chest by a falling stone sword. Rem's eyes widened at that sacrifice. Furthermore, her surprise deepened when she saw who had done it. The gallant figure pierced through the chest, yet still bravely giving Rem a thumbs up. Subaru-kun! Before Rem's eyes, as she unwittingly let out a cry, it was Natsuki Subaru, or rather, an ice puppet bearing his likeness, that had been pierced through the chest. The exquisitely crafted ice Natsuki Subaru shielded Rem, flashing a brave smile as if he were the real thing before collapsing. I'm just gonna say, I needed to finish that, like, specific little, like, shit. Dude, when I first read this, I lost my fucking shit. I lost my fucking shit. And I wish I could have showed you, like, you guys the recording, because I thought somehow bro got out. When she said Subaru-kun, I lost my shit, because, like, I forgot about, you know, Amelia's ice statues. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot about those. So I was like, oh my god, he's back! Wait, but you got him down! But it's something that he would do 100%. Like even Arc 4 Subaru would do that. Like for free. He'd be like, oh, someone heal me. But, like, yeah, otherwise we're gonna redo all of this. Anyway, before Rem's eyes, as she unwittingly let out a cry, it was Natsuki Subaru, or rather, an ice puppet bearing his likeness that had been pierced through the chest. Ugh. The exquisitely crafted ice Natsuki Subaru shielded Rem, flashing a brave smile as if it were the real thing before collapsing. That just now! Don't tell me that was Amelia-sama! Yes, that's right! And not only that, Subaru isn't alone either! Immediately after she responded to the frowning Ye, 6 figures leapt out from behind Amelia. Each was an ice statue identical in appearance to the Natsuki Subaru who had just collapsed. Collapsed, but not broken. All of them so filled with individuality that it seemed as if they each possessed their own will, pulled a weapon from the ice disc where they had been lodged, and leapt simultaneously towards Ye, who was running along the chain. If even one of those icy fingertips could reach her, it could serve as a stepping stone to corner the nimble Ye. Unfortunately, fighting a large number of people is what I'm best at. In an instant, 20 steel threads leapt forward, binding the ice Natsuki Subarus. The threads tightened around their necks, torsos, arms, and legs, mercilessly tearing the 6 bodies apart. Subaru! Subaru-kun! I made a statement before when I first recorded this. I think that it's kind of weird that Rem still calls Subaru Subaru-kun, because he is just as close, if not closer, to Subaru than Amelia. And for them to have like that familiarity, for just to be able to call him Subaru by itself, that should be there. But I kind of see this as like her endearing nickname or way of referring to Subaru. But yeah, like they've literally outwardly admitted to each other that they actually love each other. So you can't get any closer than that. Like, come on now. Anyway, I thought that was weird writing. I thought it was like weird writing until I thought about it. It's like, well, it's like Subaru, it's probably showcasing that like maybe Amelia is like on a different level, like writing wise, to what she means and is to Subaru in the long term, which is fair. Like I'm just saying, chat. I'm just saying, man. It like Rem, dude. There's literally no other woman outside of Satella who may be fucking Amelia, right? They're come on now. I digress. I digress. We can get into like the fucking discussions, the theories later, right? But I digress. The cries of Rem and Amelia overlapped as the ice Natsuki Subarus were reduced to pitiful wreckage. Beyond the scattered fragments of the scattered ice statues, Ye continued running along the chain, heading straight for Rem below. In a split-second decision, Rem released the Morning Star's handle, robbing Ye of support from her foothold. As the shinobi would surely flail about in the air, Rem twisted her body and attempted to deliver a powerful back kick. As expected, I'd rather not get hit directly by an Oni's kick. As Ye spoke, she released the tension in her knees to compensate for the bend in the chain, a movement that Rem glimpsed in the corner of her eye. Ye dropped her hips down low, maintaining perfect balance mid-air as a lethal thread released from her fingertips looped around Rem's neck. Her head would be sent flying off, or she would be strangled to death. Just before that can happen, under Ye's feet, the chain snapped taut, defying their expectations. Where's mine? God damn it, can't even see like the cursor. What? Ye's eyes opened wide, and she instinctively flickered the chain with her toes and leaped away. Nothing less could be expected from her. Her gaze caught sight of what had pulled the Morning Star's chain in Rem's stead. Having been the first one to fall after being pierced through the chest with a sword, it was an ice Natsuki Subaru. That ice Natsuki Subaru, who had never given up on the fight even after collapsing, had saved Rem. And I said this in my first run through, that is very much in character for Subaru. So the fact that Amelia is even able to create these ice sculptures, ice statues, ice warriors of Subaru that are imbued with enough of her idea of how Subaru would react to make them actually act how Subaru would, is disgusting power scaling. Because she's not just like manipulating like frozen ice warriors, she's manipulating these she created these warriors who would act in turn with how their inspiration would act based on what she knows of them. And that can be very diabolical. It's almost like making clones that can't speak. It's making clones that can act, that can potentially outperform physically the main dude, in this case Subaru, which is like crazy to think about. It's like so fucking crazy to think about. But I digress. Let me know what you guys think about like this chapter so far in the comments, like before I'm done. Like like put like the timestamp like 35 minutes, like if you like are answering the question versus like whatever questions I'm going to ask at the end. Just let me know. Just like let me know what you think before. If you guys are just reading this shit alongside me and you're waiting for me to read it and you're not reading ahead, like let me know how you feel. Anyway, this shit, dude, this cap good. Anyway, truly, this person was always doing reckless things for the sake of someone else. It's not even the real thing, you know? Even if it's not. As Ye curled her lips, Rem's full force back kick drove straight into the center of her chest. Irregular. Damn it. Ye recognized that obstructing this was the role expected of her, and the duty she ought to fulfill. Within Ye, the assessment of Al as a dreadful, capricious monster would not be overturned. But there were irregulars piling up that would serve to exhaust and burden him. Damn. I need to burp so hard. That shit was not trying to come out. Okay. Within Ye. Wait. Oh, I already said that. That's the thing, yeah? Even if I ended up on the verge of death many times quarreling with those of myself, you see. I'm sick and tired of the fact that this world's full of nothing but monsters. Reinhardt, Teresia, Wilhelm, the fucking Van Astrayas themselves. Anyway, but I'm the one who's still kicking when all's said and done. So that means there ain't nobody who can't be killed. Okay. A bar? A bar? Question mark? Yes, it was a bar. When both sides performing their best, there ends up being a gap that you can't do nothing about. And so in order to bridge that gap bit by bit, we've got our underhanded tactics intriguingly refined to perfection. If you can rob your opponent of their ability to perform flawlessly, the opportunity to chop off the heads of those above you will come around. That's the blood-wrecking secret to our success in life. Is that some shit that goes with like the slums? I'm sure that's some shit from the slums. That was the advice of the vicious old man. Oh wait, no, that was fuck. I gotta look this up because like I forgot his name the first time too. Olbart! God fucking damn it, Olbart. Wait, whoa, this is young Olbart? Hey, yo! Young, wait, no. Wait, what? Hold on, wait, hold on. I saw some images of what looked like young Olbart. All right, sorry. God damn it, spoiling myself for shit. Anyway, that makes sense because like he does like speak like Old Man Rom. Anyway, that was the advice of the vicious old man, the village chief who had instilled Ye with the way of life and teachings of the shinobi. In regards to those ideas of the village chief, Ye had no objections, but she had surprisingly few opportunities to test them. After all, most of Ye's opponents were weaker than her. She would not lose to them, let alone ever engage them in a head-on fight, right? The first defeat she'd ever suffered was against Al, and it fundamentally distorted Ye's way of being. Even now, merely being near him would cause her entire body to be filled with dread, and she wished for him to disappear even a second quicker. For that purpose, there was no other option but to have Al accomplish that which he desired, that which he wished for. That was why. I don't want to let anyone who can corner that person get near him. Distorted, twisted, full of contradictions, Ye was well aware that those things applied to her. But there was no helping it. Ye liked spicy things and did not really care for sweet things. But those were dispositions she was born with, and a predetermination that she could not alter herself, you know? Because she had been born into such self, she would continue to live while staying true to that self. Ye had her own ideal way to end her relationship with Al. In order to accomplish that, Ye's contradictory way of doing things was to eliminate the irregulars. However, receiving a direct kick from the horned girl named Rem, Ye stifled the cries from deep within her creaking body, maneuvering her body to dispose the impact through her arms and legs. The shinobi techniques that transmitted one's will down even to their muscles and internal organs allowed for a means of survival. But even when that was applied, it did not equate to a complete negation of damage. The tips of her hands and feet went numb. It was not as though she had underestimated the power of the Oni. However, for Ye, who could discern the capabilities of an opponent by observing their posture and the way they utilize their arms and legs, the Oni clan's trait of dramatically increasing their physical abilities by absorbing the surrounding mana with their horn far surpassed her expectations. In addition, Emilia-sama's ad-libs really are quite troublesome, aren't they? Bearing those bitter sentiments, Ye muttered with an expression still harboring some leeway. In truth, they had been quite effective, but she could not afford to relay that. Shinobi would never relinquish information to their opponents. If they did, it would have been fabricated information for the purpose of manipulation. With that level of kickback, not only Rem, but even Emilia would have been able to see that Ye had been dealt a considerable amount of damage. If Ye were to still act calm in spite of that, it would be in human nature to hesitate in pursuit. Emilia-sama, yes, we continue! However, that was only if the opponent was proficiently adept in the ways of combat. After delivering a blow, the duo paid no mind to Ye's composed expression and instead pursued hot on her tail, after she was blasted away. She would not call it toughness, or goddamn it, English. She would not call it thoughtless. It was desperate, and it was fervent. At present, that was the most troublesome thing. In that case, I'll answer with my own nasty hand of footwork. Counter. Ye greatly spread out her toes in both her right and left sides, and together, with her hands, she controlled 20 steel threads. The numerous swords that had pierced the glacial discus that was serving as the platform, snaring those constructs of ice and stone with her threads and flinging them up. She directly intercepted Emilia and Rem, poised for pursuit as they were. Sorry, I've been going for a minute. My eyes were getting kind of hooked. Oh. Okay, oh. Okay. Alright. Take a little sip. I hope you guys are enjoying the reading so far. I know I've been going like decently fast-paced, but the chapters feel like they're getting longer, and it's not because I'm like a dumbass who reads slow. It's just that, man, Tape, like he explains his shit. Wait, where are we? Okay. Guided by the deftness of her digits, the dagger sliced through the wind as they whirled around, combining with the invisible, soundless steel threads to form a twofold assault of heavy and light. What does that mean? Guided by the deftness of her digits, the dagger sliced through the wind as they whirled around, combining with the invisible, soundless steel threads to form a twofold assault of heavy and light. Huh. Rampaging atop the ice as a rending gale that would confound any attempts to respond. I'm trying to visualize this. It's like a little difficult. Like, I think I get it, but oh. Also, I have been having an issue where like my fucking bangs, because I haven't like if you guys didn't know, like I trim my bangs a certain amount like a month, and sometimes like I kind of forget and they grow a little bit too long and they kind of like obstruct my eyes, and I'm like, why am I like, why can't I see shit? Anyway, excuses aside, if one were to trace the path of the daggers with their eyes, the steel threads would entangle their limbs and rob them of their combat potential. Al had ordered her to abide by the no killing rule, but even if she had to sever a finger or two, or even all 4 limbs, those requirements could be met as long as they retain their lives. With those thoughts in mind, Ye surged with a severing intent. However, in defense of those of the howling Rem and fierce Amelia, repelled Ye's assault entirely. Damn it. A display of teamwork with Rem handling the daggers and Amelia countering the steel threads. Rem coiled the chain of her favorite iron ball around her arm and wielded it as an impromptu gauntlet, while Amelia transformed her twin swords into a gigantic halberd. The pair perfectly defended against Ye's attacks with a certain coordination despite not having exchanged any words. Ooh, shit. Oh, this is where I stopped. Okay. How? Their abilities were certainly enough to handle the visible daggers, but there needed to be an explanation to how they managed to defend against the invisible steel threads. Probably Amelia, or the stonage that came down due to Al's like rock shit. Questioning that reason, sorry about that, guys. I like so much like liquid sit, like I'm just like burpy. Questioning that reason, Ye caught sight of a faintly white cloud of air as she muttered and noticed a coldness biting at her skin, to an extent greater than that of being atop a great mass of ice whilst plummeting from an immensely high altitude. Ice fog! Minuscule ice particles fluttering down through her vision, twinkling to highlight the contours of the steel threads. As the technique Amelia had employed to detect the invisible steel threads, and the sense needed to come up with it, Ye was struck with wonder. Then, even more so by the possibility of things taking an even worse turn. Icicle line! That instant, in accordance with the formulated incantation, the atmosphere began to let out a shrill screech. My bad. The particles of ice that had made up the ice fog linked together with the particles adjacent to them, and the chill that had painted the world white bared its fangs with even greater ferocity. The first to fall prey to it would be the steel threads that were lacking in mass. The advantage granted by the steel threads' greatest characteristics, weightlessness and thinness, would be crushed in a freezing world. Even if steel threads could slice through the winds, they could not slice through blizzard. Hence, her decision followed immediately after. Ye brought the rings on her fingers to her lips, and at that instant, flames dashed across the steel threads, birthing an infernal explosion atop the ice. A heat wave that jostled back even the icy gale. In exchange for relinquishing the steel thread's strength of being unseen, clad them in the power to not succumb to the cold even amidst icy fog. Please accompany me in this flaming dance. Letting her steel threads dressed in flames wreak havoc, the Crimson Sakura began to perform a dance, whilst unleashing her scintillating thread attack. In contrast to that brilliant, fiery dance illuminating the canyon, the two who were bringing about the frigid ice and snow, counting the 7 ice-sculpted bodies, 9 silhouettes leaped forward. Invitation accepted! Sorry if I stepped on your feet. On the ice and armed with twin blades of frost, Amelia slid into Ye's range as the latter manifested a maelstrom of infernal flame. She skated across the ice discus with boots of ice affixed with blades, and tracing a circular orbit. She moved in a rhythm with a waltz of flames, commencing a gently curved yet sharp and relentless onslaught. Comparing favorably to the extreme tempo of Amelia's offense, Rem's decisions to plunge forth while engaging in a scrum formation. I've never heard that word. Scrum formation with the ice sculptures was more directly stunning to witness. Ah! Roaring out like a beast, Rem launched her bare white fists forward in a pummel, worthy of being described as an bombardment. What rained down seemed as though a storm of numerous fists, twisting, crouching, bending back, sidestepping, and leaping over repeatedly. Ye evaded as if merely gliding through the movements of her dance. If you're only using your bare fist, you'll spend eternity trying to catch me. Even with the physical abilities of an Oni, if there were four limbs extended out of a torso, the flow of strength through the muscles was plain to see, and Ye's eyes would not fail to glimpse it. Ye's Oni strength was astounding, but it did not outpace Ye's reaction speed like the sword demon had. Okay, putting up some like gaps in power, strength. Okay. With that logic, the irregulars that were actually betraying Ye's imagination were rather the 7 ice sculptures of humanoid shape, reining things in with inscrutable movements during the intervals between Amelia and Rem's attacks. At this rate, she had... Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they are jumping the fuck out of her, but like at the same time, her main draw is that she's good at fighting multiple people at the same time. But you're fighting 2 people technically. And no, I don't want anyone in the comments saying like, oh, but like, Ye is a little worn down because she didn't get enough rest from her battle with Will. And shut the fuck up. Because Rem and Amelia have not had it any better. Like, low key. But I digress. I don't think anyone's really gonna complain. Like no one ever really complains about this shit. It's literally just like the fucktards that like complain about like stuff like this. I'm just bringing it up because I can see where people would attempt to complain, and I'm just gonna say like, look, this is the web novel. Once this shit gets animated, y'all are gonna be gooning everywhere. Come on now. Anyway, because like this fight has been like going on like this whole fucking chapter, and there's so much that's happened. Oh my god. Anyway, where am I? At this rate, just as she had declared, Ye would end up spending an eternity engaging these two in combat. No. When Ye was on the verge of opting for the easy option, she put the brakes on herself. This was killing? This battlefield had been selected by her opponents. If she were to allow her opponents to have things their way, she would be playing right into their hands. In order to obstruct these irregulars, she would have no choice but to become the irregular to her opponents. For the time being, this platform, a discus of ice that had been constructed in collaboration by Amelia and Rem, employed to split up Ye and Al. With its transparency armed in proportion to the wind hitting it, Al's figure on the other side of the cloudy white ice disc grew foggy. Deeming this platform unideal, Ye dealt with Rem's volley of punches, slipping under Amelia's attacks from behind, and used one of the ice sculptures trying to tackle her as a stool to leap into the air. Then, sending all the steel threads on her hands and feet in every direction of the discus, she exerted all of her might and began to spin her body around. As a result, I'm changing the situation! Is this also within your calculations? Guided by Ye's might, the arena known as the ice discus was altered. As that disc began to spin like a top, Beyblade, let it rip! A tremendous centrifugal force was applied to everyone on the ice. With that, the battle transitioned to its next stage. Irregular. That had been the meaning of something unexpected, and understanding that piling them up was their current greatest weapon, Amelia hyped herself up. Whenever she got abruptly startled, Amelia would be unable to immediately think of the next action to take. The same thing could be said about Al. Al would have probably thought about a lot of things in order to plan what he was doing now. But he could not read all the way into the minds of Amelia and the others. That was the purpose of the irregular. Leah, whenever you're in a pinch, you immediately try to use whatever strength you can force your way through to some sort of solution, right? Though, when it doesn't work, you end up worrying over what you should have done to begin with. But it wouldn't be like you to come to a halt there, Leah. Nor do I think it would suit you. Oh no, is this a Subaru? Oh yeah, I thought it was Puck. Okay. My adorable daughter has the power to smash through any problem with a bam. So don't just give up after the first go. How about you pile up a bunch of tries and do your best with that? Don't worry, Leah. When the time comes, your body will naturally teach you whatever you might need in that moment. After all, you're the daughter I'm so proud of. So you'll inherit the most powerful genetics. I hope that's Puck. I hope that's not something she's remembering from a different, shit. Indeed, words that Puck had once spoken to Amelia were now affectionately resuscitated in her head. These days, it was always Subaru's words she found to be reliable, but now she knew Subaru was in danger. The first one to encourage Amelia was the teachings of Puck. As always, her joint offensive with Rem against Al was now in the midst of hard-fought struggle due to the intervention of Ye. They had already passed two more aggravatings in the cliff, meaning they only had around 30 seconds left before they reached the bottom. She felt extremely fretful. However, she could not afford to let it overwhelm her. This was not something she was particularly skilled at, but she needed to foist these feelings onto Al and Ye. In order to stop Al, no, in order to properly talk things out with Al. This time was for sure. After all, Priscilla would have never desired this sort of thing. The fact that voicing such a thing would be cruel to Al, Amelia knew. Even now, thinking of Priscilla, it made Amelia's heart ache to voice her name, and she would feel a sensation of moisture in the corners of her eyes. Same. She wanted to allow Al to vent those frustrations. In the past, Amelia had once been rescued by Al. Even without that, Amelia wished to become a source of strength for Al. Not just because they shared the same pain. It was not that. But as a more instinctual feeling, Amelia wished to save him. Chat, we might be cooked. I'm not going to tell you guys what I think about this right now. I may bring this up later. But that was why Subaru. I didn't even read the next line. What are we hinting at? The heat-filled wind ferociously stirred the maelstrom, and the disc of ice revolved with Ye at its center. Atop the disc of ice that had begun to revolve as vigorously as a spinning plate. The ice soldiers molded after Subaru were unable to hold their ground after bearing the additional centrifugal force for a bit, and were subsequently blown away. They would be unable to do a thing about being flown off the face of the disc, and at worst would meet a fate of crashing and shattering against the cliff face of the canyon. But before that could happen, Amelia would not forget how one of them caught her hand just as she was about to stumble from the spinning, preventing her fall and saving her. Rem is sliding across the revolving ice disc with skates of ice. Amelia tried to locate Rem in her vision, as she ought to have been cornered into a similar situation as her. No, what if she had been thrown off the ice soldiers? Thrown off like the ice soldiers. Then, before the worried Amelia erupted, a thundering boom and an even more enormous inferno. The collision had occurred at the center of the disc, where Rem and Ye violently crashed into each other and flared into a fiery blaze. Once again, wielding the iron ball that she had cast into the sky earlier, Rem swung it down, and Ye skillfully warded off that downward strike by utilizing the tensile strength of threads bundled together. As a result, Rem's large sweeping movement was halted, and there did Ye thrust her toes squarely at her. Ka! Letting out a cry of pain. Oh. Ka! Letting out a cry of pain, Rem was repelled back and tumbled down onto the ice disc, slipping toward the outer circumference. With the rotation of the disc in Ye's leg string, there was no means to stop Rem's sliding body. Unwilling to allow that to happen, Amelia tried to devise a way to reach her, but looking away is forbidden. As soon as she kicked off the ice, Ye's counterattack closed in as if thrusting towards her. An attack with a stone dowel that had been snatched up by a flaming steel thread, and the second stage follow-up of the thread slicing not far behind it. At the two-stage assault that spanned a large range in necessitated evasion, Amelia began to ruminate. She tried to, but recalling the words of the reliable Subaru and Puck, she abandoned that endeavor. Relying on her senses more than her thinking, Amelia soared toward Rem, who had been flicked away. Quite literally, she had caught wind in her wings and flown towards Rem. Okay. What? Staring in amazement, Ye was taken aback by that shocking display. It was the first time she had left herself completely open, but unfortunately, Amelia did not have the leeway of focus her attention there right now. Only, flying directly towards Rem, she scooped her up as she was about to fall off the edge of the disc and soared up. Amelia did, with wings forged of ice upon her back. What the fuck? Whoa! 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 Ice wings? She's a fucking angel that can fly? She can do that now? I mean, if she can make ice sculptures of Subaru that actually act like Subaru, dude, Amelia might be kind of overpowered. I'm not gonna lie. Like, obviously, it's not Reinhardt. Calm the fuck down, Chad. I know she's not Reinhardt. I know she's not like Pandora, Satella, blah blah blah, or she might be Satella. Anyway, Subaru drew a picture. Wait. Subaru drew a picture of them before. Beings that grow wings on their back. They're called angels. That's so symbolic. I need to get like an Amelia figure. God damn it. Subaru would talk about them every once in a while, but I tried my best and I did it. Answering Rem's question after carrying her up, Amelia softened her cheeks. But then again, these were fake wings that only resembled them in shape. They could not be flapped like a real bird's wings, and at best could glide on the wind. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Okay, Top A, you're not gonna make these characters too broken. Moreover, it was something that could only be realized in this particular situation. An instance of success for an extremely rare magic. Subaru would probably be delighted if she were to show it to him. But for that, they would also need to fall together from 5,000 meters up in the sky. For that reason as well, Amelia-sama, let's retaliate! Yeah! Amelia spread her glacial wings as Rem gave a valiant utterance within her arms, and nodded in agreement. Retaliate, the first thing that flashed through her mind upon hearing that word. Intuitively, believing it to be the same thing that Rem was thinking of, Amelia lowered her altitude directly above the ice. Detaching her wings there, Amelia and Rem free fall, and began to spin themselves, striking their heels down in unison. The horizontally rotating disc of ice was forced into a vertical gyration with all of their might. Aura farming. As payback for the ice disc having been made to spin horizontally, they made the ice disc spin vertically. Okay. It was very simple, but it was an incredible payback that neither of them would have been able to accomplish on their own. And so, having remained on top of the disc, Ye ought to have been stupefied. As the platform turned over from up to down, and then back to how it was before, and then immediately upside down again to normal, the upside down to a normal over and over and over, she was jostled about. To make matters worse, there's also still the horizontal spin. Okay, I see what they're doing. They're trying to get like the shit to spin in a unpredictable like while like people are trying to like fucking balance on it. I get it. As a result, the ice disc spinning on both axles became a random battlefield that did not trace any expected trajectory. It was just like the wobbly and shaky Atrixon? God fucking damn it, words. Atrixon of the trading ground that Subaru and Garfield had made behind the Roswell Mansion. Oh, is that their word for the parkour field? And precisely due to that thinking, Amelia speedily dashed across the ice disc. Parkour! Wait. Anyway, I'm not saying that word, but it's too hard. Atrixon. Ya! Ha! To! Suya! That sounds like a Legend of Zelda reference. Wait. Hold on. Hold on. No, that's a reference. I mean, like, this is like Young Link, but like, still, that's nah. That was a reference. No, that's a Legend, dude. That's a Legend of Zelda reference. No, that has to be. Ya ta to so ya. Like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Breath of the Wild, maybe. No, I'm just playing. Well, actually, by the time this was written, Breath of the Wild has been out since 2017. That might be a Breath of the Wild reference. Hey, yo! Oh my god. Okay, wait. Let me know in the comments. If y'all think that this is a Legend of Zelda reference. If you do think it's a Legend of the Zelda reference, or Legend of Zelda, not Legend of the Zelda, tell me what game you think it is. That's gonna be one of the questions of the day. And look, you motherfuckers better comment on these questions. While altering the direction of the vehement force within a single second, Amelia relied only on the sensations from the bottom of her feet to receive that momentum and use it to propel herself forwards. She was somewhat relieved that she had been able to run on it. On the other hand, she was worried about whether Rem was alright or not, but there's no need to worry. I'm best girl. As Rem responded so, she thrust her iron ball into the ice disc, and with that as the fulcrum, she She pulled herself forward with her chains in one go, aiming for the center. Though falling a bit short of Amelia's momentum, it offered a far more reliable sense of sustainability. Stability. Contrary to that, Amelia had to ensure that her own footing did not slip. That girl! Either atop the ice disc that had been disrupted both vertically and horizontally, or possibly below. Desperately clinging on in order to not be shaken off, Amelia searched for the figure of Ye in order to pursue her, and then blinked her amethyst eyes. There she was, unmoved. Ye was right in the middle, the spot on the disc with the weakest centrifugal force. Even so, that would not change the fact that she had been jostled about, and as she seemed like she was about to stretch out her legs, Amelia realized. Having folded her knees and leaned into the ice disc, Ye had not been affected by the gyration of the platform. The reason was clear. She had excavated the center of the ice disc with her steel threads, creating a unique safety zone immune to the effects of the rotation as she lay ready in wait for Amelia and Rem. That instant, steel threads aligned with flame bundled together, and a blazing flash of weighty silver engulfed vision. Okay. Really sick art. I can kind of get it. Let me see, like, how much more do we have? We have oh, okay, we're almost done. Okay, we're almost done. So I'm like, we gotta get through this shit sooner rather than later. A blazing silver flash of crimson. If one were to have a bird's eye view of that, and they possessed knowledge of that technique, they would have likely realized that what Ye Tenzin had unleashed was a steel thread iaido, the art of swiftly drawing a katana and unleashing a lethal strike before immediately returning it to its sheath. Nobody would have imagined that something so thin, lacking any consistent form, could take the shape of a iaido. Not to mention, even amidst the long and storied history of the shinobi, a steel thread technique was a legendary art that none save the most gifted of geniuses could even grasp the fundamentals of, let alone master. The fact that Crimson Sakura, the most gifted shinobi throughout all of history, had polished the deadly technique to even greater heights was something that not a single person, not even Aldebaran, had been aware of. Therefore, the fact that Rem had managed to defend against the silver flash of flames could not be described as anything short of a miracle. Priscilla-san! Spun by her hips was the name of the woman bearing one of the reasons that had guided Rem to this point and gotten her standing back on her feet. And now, she was the benefactor who had left behind signs so that Rem could continue clinging to life. She had felt it, something she had not been allowed to detect a single time up to this point. Ye's definite murderous intent. The emotions of humans dwell within mana. Those who excelled at perceiving such mana could easily guess the emotions of others. The reason why spirits could vaguely sense the thoughts of other people was thought to be corollary to this sensation. I've never heard that word before. Thus, absorbing the surrounding mana with her horn via her Oni transformation, Rem felt sensations that she normally could not grasp, with an acuity several times greater than usual. Until now, she had not felt it. No. It was a sensation she would not have noticed even if she had felt it. There was various factors that played into her gaining the ability to sense this. The fact that she had restored herself, as well as the sense of duty she carried to take back Subaru. But the number one reason lay elsewhere. The number one factor was the influence of the days she had spent together with Priscilla in the fortitude city of Garo. Sorry, I kind of slowed down because like I was thinking about like my brain was like trying to like think of like some connections and side shit while I was trying to read it, and I wasn't reading it. Amidst the time that was by no means long, Priscilla would often present Rem with words that seemed like riddles, granting her an impetus to deeply come face to face with her own self. At that time, due to frustrations with her inadequate healing magic and uselessness, she had merely attempted to superficially follow Priscilla's words, but now I feel like I finally understand it just a bit. Even now, she would not say that she knew all the answers to the words from back then. She would think of it as an assignment that would last her for her whole lifetime, and she would never be able to check her answers anymore. That was sorrowful, lonely, pained her heart. Right now, I wish I could speak with you, Priscilla-san. Muttering, she closed her eyes. Then, when she reopened them, Rem's gifts as an Oni awakened in those eyes. Oh, that's hard. What she keenly perceived, mixed in with the mana, was a faint enmity, murderous intent, will to attack, to the place where that seemed to be tinged with color. Rem sent forth her iron ball with pinpoint precision. The silver flash of flames that had drawn near in an attempt to bisect both herself and Amelia, slamming her Morning Star into a position that could clear it away in a single swing. The certain death unleashed was transformed into non-lethality. The shrill clangor of steel on steel rung out, and as a vehement recoil was delivered to her grip, Rem's counterattack met Ye's brandish head-on. Slightly aghast at that reality, Ye nevertheless stooped. Oh my god, sorry. The reading is getting worse. I'm sorry. Ye nevertheless stooped down and prepared for her next move. Countless rampaging silver flashes, perceiving the murderous intent surging through the air before they could be unleashed, Rem preempted them, firing her iron ball, chains, and magic force as if to trace the lines. Okay. That theme sounded like something else. In a series of moments that almost seemed to overlap into a single instant, Ye's onslaught was thwarted by Rem. A breath spilled out from her heart. This is it. This is the true scenery that the Oni clan had garnered. A mere sliver of the domain Ram had reached by birth. Now, at this moment over a decade later, the tips of Ram's fingertips had finally caught on. Rem! Spiraling up her iron ball, Rem continued to fend off a tempest of blazing threads of steel, and Amelia called out to her. The sense of urgency loaded in that voice was not out of gratitude for having been protected, but rather a cry to inform her of a change in the situation, and one for the worst at that. She caught Amelia in the corner of her eye, stretching out her long legs as she clung to the surface of the ice discus, darting her eyes around the reveling view. revolving view. Al's gone! I can't find him anywhere! At her wit's end, Amelia's voice caused Rem to finally realize that Al had disappeared from her own sights as well. Below the discus of ice, Al was supposed to be in a position where he could do nothing but speculate the battle above. But he was nowhere to be found, and the sky made perceivable from the disc's rotation, having eliminated all obstructions of vision. As soon as Rem thought about where he could be, realization struck her like lightning. She strained her eyes to the distant sky. As they plummeted down the Agzad Canyon, beyond that long, massive fissure in the ground, far in the distance from Rem and the others, a silhouette could be seen receding into the distance. Similar to what Amelia had done earlier, with wings of black, with wings on his back, catching the wind with wings forged of stone, Al was gliding away at ferocious speeds. That instant, the flash through Rem's mind. What flashed through Rem's mind was her joint attack with Amelia onto the ice disc. That it made. I just thought about something like so crazy. That it made the platform spin vertically and had advanced the battle against Ye into the next dimension, but that had been used against them. When Amelia-sama and I linked up in order to kick off the platform. At that time, Al had clung onto the bottom side of the ice disc, and using the momentum of the rotation from Rem and Amelia's kick, he gained propulsion to launch him straight up into the distant sky. If Al were to escape like this, the entire operation would come crumbling down. By piling on the irregulars, they had been whittling away at Al's reserves, but if things proceeded this way, they would be unable to arrive at the trump card they needed to play. That must not happen. Making a split-second decision, Rem and Amelia exchanged glances. Rem! And the will of Amelia, which she ought not to have been able to hear, was delivered to Rem through mana. The things... Okay, I hope I don't get like any copyrights for any of this shit. Let me see. Hold on, pause. I'd still be good. Okay, I should still be good. So, the things that the Onihorn perceived were not limited to just omens of hostility, by also taking an unshakable trust and expectation. Rem was bestowed with unlimited power. What? By also taking in unshakable trust and expectation, Rem was bestowed with unlimited power. It was to the extent that rather than simply taking in mana, she might end up believing that bearing those emotions was actually the source of the power. Indeed, she had certainly been granted strength, and so, I'm heading off. Take care. Or in Japanese, Amelia. Itakimasu. Or sorry, fuck. Amelia. Itterashai. Rem. Itakimasu. No, it was like the way like I did it initially. Yeah. Itakimasu. Itterashai. Hell yeah, I love that. Raising herself up and then swinging down on the ice disc with all her might, the vertical rotation of the discus began to rapidly accelerate. Receiving that momentum, Amelia was launched straight into the sky. Clad in a glimmer of ice, Amelia once again caught the wind with wings of ice stretching out from her back, soaring above the Agzad Canyon toward the distant sky in pursuit of Al. She soared and soared away. Then, entrusting Amelia with the pursuit of Al. I won't let you go after them. That's my line. Passing by yet another marking in the cliff. Passing by yet another marking in the cliff face of the Agzad Canyon, There remained 20 seconds until they reached the floor. The two mates left standing on the plummeting ice platform. Rem and Ye faced off. The final clash between Oni and Shinobi, between the hero's confidant and the Crimson Sakura, commenced. Rem's winning, no diff. No diff. Let's look at some of these. Arc 9 is peak. Like our Arc 9 is, it's like, for me right now, it's almost tied with Arc 4, which is my second favorite arc. It just has to finish, you know. Peak is a meme that exists for shit that isn't peak, like fucking like Soul Leveling, Lord of the Mysteries. No, I'm just playing. But just like other shows that like people say are peak just like casually, like that don't have any type of like substance. Come on now. And when I say show, I mean like web novel, light novel, manga, manhwa, donghua, like all of it, Getting an unexplained boost during combat also fits the description. So, although it is cool, Wings of Ice and Stone are BS. Okay, I was kind of thinking the same thing, but when they specified that it's not like wings that you're flying with, it's meant to glide, I'm like, okay, you can have a strong, solid structure that is not meant to like propel via like the structure itself, but to glide. Yeah, they explain that. Motherfuckers don't read shit. What the fuck? Like, Namex don't read. What the fuck? Like Garf's unexplained boost during the Mizoria fight that made him more embarrassing when he lost to Ao. Okay, now this dude, I'm not gonna lie, this is like slightly infinitesimally plot, but it's also, dude, he's fighting Subaru with a manual save point who can use magic. No fucking shit. Like, do y'all Namex not read shit? Are y'all fucking retards? These people must be fucking retards. Whoever made this comment, like, come on now. Come on now. Y'all don't read shit. Was Subaru not using Corleones on everyone during all of that? Not reading comprehension issues, I just forgot. Well, I would have to go back, but like, I don't think that he would actively be trying to use Corleones for literally just like the start of this arc, because it's not like a situation that he's in that he needs to be on high alert. That's like what makes it. God, y'all motherfuckers that be reading this shit don't be reading it. Like, dude, okay, I'm gonna stop there. Because like most of you guys that comment, and if any of y'all that read these comments have anything to say about the comments or my opinion about the comments, let me know. Comment down below. But half of these fucking comments are just fucking retards that have not actually read this shit. I'm gonna read the first like 5 lines. Oh, this is Ye. Oh shit. Okay, this is Ye. A shinobi must never give their heart to anyone. In the shinobi village of the Valachian Empire, that was an absolute teaching imparted onto those forbidden to lead any way of life other than that of a shinobi. It was an ironclad rule that demanded absolute obedience, even more than that. I'm super like gassy today. or burpee. It was an ironclad rule that demanded absolute obedience, even more so than the law of the iron and blood rooted in the vast lands of the empire. If they were to yield their heart to something, the honed blade known as shinobi would easily come to rust. Therefore, any and all who would look onto the mantle of shinobi, with exception, etched that ironclad rule into their soul, abiding by it no matter the cost. And despite that, this is where we stop. This is where we stop. Now look, I'm gonna just straight upload this. I'm not gonna go like super crazy on like the editing, or I mean, like, I'm not gonna edit this. I'm not gonna go crazy on like the editing or the like the thummy thumb too hard, but I just want y'all to know there's a Discord channel. Like, if you guys enjoy this video, if you guys enjoy like my reading, if you guys made it this far, that means you enjoyed it, at least to some degree. Leave a like, subscribe, share it with your homies that like ReZero. I'm not saying this because I want views, clicks, interaction, like from like the likes and algorithm. I genuinely just want people to talk about ReZero. I don't care if you post a comment on this video. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if you post a comment on like my older videos. I don't care if you like my older videos. The only thing I care about is that people keep talking about this series. You can hate my perspective. You can hate my readings. Just share it with someone. I mean, you already watched it. Share it with someone. I want there to be more opportunities for discussion, for exposure, for just like, literally, like, this series is it's so good. But I also want to be challenged when it comes to ideals or ideology, perspective, the general opinions about the series, like the writing, like the chapters. Let me know, dude. That's where I'd say, like, post a comment, join the Discord, let's talk about it. That's literally all I'm asking for, is just, at the end of the day, just to keep talking about it. It doesn't have to be with me. So this has been your boy Zero, aka Black Natsuki. Cringe as fuck. Let me know if y'all want very specific content. We are going to be getting this out same day as recording, but dude, y'all gotta show me that y'all actually want to see this type of shit. If this fucking video gets 2 likes, the first comment that hits 3 likes, that will be the next video. Bye.